It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Keatsman, starting out the new week. It is said to be a very nice day after a rainy Easter around the area. We spent a good deal of our time near Raintree Lake yesterday afternoon, where I think it rained about maybe 2 inches. It didn't stop the whole time we were there, but man, everything liked it and needed it. And we are up and away with the start of the new week, and news is happening fast. As overnight while we slept, Pope Francis died at age 88. President Trump has ordered all the flags at half-staff. And we'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. Obviously, that's not a giant story for everyone, but it does have some geopolitical consequences because popes have a tendency to be involved like world leaders. They represent 1.4 billion people on this planet. And this previous pope, Pope Francis, had all kinds of opinions that you could consider and policies that you would consider liberal, which was very unusual for the Catholic Church. We will see what they will do going forward, whether they go that direction again or go back to a traditional stance sort of pope. We'll do that. We'll talk a little bit about the left and what they're blaming now, the troubles in Missouri that they're having with the Royals and Chiefs. That's coming up in just a little while. And it's draft week in the NFL. We will not be going deep into what the Chiefs are doing because nobody knows what the Chiefs are doing. But we will have some fun with Mark a little bit later in the show. I'm sure he's excited for draft week, as so many Chiefs fans are. We start today with a story that's a couple days old, but I wanted to revisit this one because it was such a big deal for quite some time. And that is a person from Kansas City named Owen McIntyre, who was charged in the firebombings of the Teslas on State Line in Kansas City, Missouri. We learned of this on Friday. Young Mr. McIntyre, who easily, any witness or person could see even a photograph, could confuse Mr. McIntyre for a woman. They thought they were searching for a woman in this case. They found a wide-brimmed woman's spring hat near the scene where these were set on fire. And Owen McIntyre has long, flowing hair that was coming out of the hat. But they found this dude. He's from Kansas City. He goes to school at UMass in Boston and was home for spring break and just decided to torch some Teslas. Now, here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of people rally and say, this is a smart young man who's on a scholarship to UMass, and we don't want to take away and ruin an entire life and put somebody in jail for a long period of time for one mistake they made when they were a kid. That's coming. Kash Patel has commented on this. They've arrested him. They're going to prosecute and go for the fullest extent of the law. They're threatening 20 years for Owen McIntyre to be in jail. And while I'll agree with you that if there were no people involved, there were no persons around, and he was torching a couple of cars on his own, that's a bad crime, but I'm not sure 20 years is quite right for that. But the point is, convict them of that, and then if they get out after 8, that seems like a long time to set a couple of cars on fire. 8 years of your life lost for setting a couple of cars on fire when there was no danger to any humans, if that's what's determined. I could probably live with any of this. I can live with a prosecution that winds up with 2 or 3 years. But we can't let these cases, and I think they're going to start happening fast and furious. These Tesla cases are going to be wild. Some of these are going to be like 53-year-old angry dude in his jammies. We've seen that guy, right? Keying cars, setting them on fire, rolled out of mommy's basement, waiting for her to die so he can sell the house, collect the money. We know the dude, right? Everybody's seen this guy. You've seen him at Hy-Vee. You've seen him at Walmart. They're always the guy with the buggy that has the broken wheel. It's just their lot in life. You know this guy. Nobody feels bad if that guy gets 20 years. But a 19-year-old college student home on spring break. Boy, that sounds terrible. Must have been the freshman year. They're 19. It's spring break. They probably just turned 19 their freshman year. Their life's just starting out. What a travesty this would be. And there's a little bit here of we're not quite sure if this is a man or a woman. Some of these Tesla bombings have been members of the LGBTQ community, and there's an especially large number of crimes taking place in America now by transgenders. I don't think that's what Mr. McIntyre is, or at least that's not what he's saying. But if he dressed a little different, it would be easily confusing to almost anybody that looks. And on March 17, he went out and torched these Teslas, burned 2 of them. And they thought they were looking for a woman, but they found him. And I say prosecute. Close the deal. put this young person, this young man in jail, not a kid, put this young man in jail. If you're old enough to take your scholarship money or borrow money or get it from your parents and go to college in Boston, halfway across the country, you're old enough to know better than you cannot set Teslas on fire. That's a low bar. I did stupid stuff when I was a kid. You did stupid stuff when you were a kid. We all did stupid stuff. I don't think we burned automobiles. I don't really remember that one. I think I threw some toilet paper up in the trees a few times. We did some things we probably aren't very proud of, but nothing like this. And the ricochet, the rebound, the reaction to all of this comes after January 6th. The prosecutions of all of those people in J6, even the ones who just walked through the velvet ropes and walked out and taking a selfie, that went to prisons or didn't get, we're talking about all this due process for this dude in El Salvador. The J6ers didn't get due process. Some of them got locked up in solitary confinement for like 6 months before they got to see a court. They were making examples of them. They were abusing the system because they didn't like the people that were in there. They wanted to punish them. The reaction here is people are going to say, well, this is too harsh of a punishment. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. This is really dangerous. This is public spaces. Really, anybody had a choice whether or not to be in the Capitol that day. It wasn't really a public space. You were breaking the law, and you knew it. You knew you were trespassing the second you walked in there. Everybody did. So we'll see what happens. I say go ahead and prosecute and convict, and these are going to take months and months before they do all these, but I'm looking forward to that. We have found the person in Kansas City. I like that. This goes along the lines of all the things that the Democrats are doing right now. All they're doing is stopping anything Trump in any way that they can. Nothing more clear than what we're seeing with this Leavenworth Detention Center in Leavenworth County, where Donald Trump won by 23 points. Trump beat Kamala by 23 points in Leavenworth County. They have an empty detention center that's run, owned, and operated by a company called Core Civic. They no longer use it for its original intent, was a private prison or a privately run prison. And this private company wants to open it. They have a deal with ICE. They have a deal with the federal government. They can open it up, and it's an ICE detention center. Now, explain to me how an empty prison run by a private company cannot be used in Leavenworth, of all places. It's not like, well, we're really against having prisons here. It's really not our fabric or anything like that. Or the people of Lansing are screaming. No, there's lots of prisons there. This is the prison. There's a prison culture there. It is Trump plus 23. And now the people that run the place have just been fighting over this detention center for a couple of years. And they've got a deal. We need it. We need these detention centers, right? And they've got a deal to stop it. How does this happen everywhere? This is so against the will of the people. We have 4 more Democrats flying to El Salvador today. Did you guys see this news? 4 more of them are going down there. They want their photo op with Kilmore. Is that his name? Kilmore? I haven't used his name. I've called him MS-13 man or Maryland man or whatever. It's Kilmore, right? Is his first name Kilmore? Kilmore sounds better. I think Trump should adopt that. We got Kilmore in jail. We're not going to let him kill more.
It is an interesting name.
Yeah. We're not going to let Kilmore out. So I'm going to call him Kilmore. And 4 of them are going down for their photo op, and that probably plays in their district. Fine, whatever the district you're from. But they're killing their party. They don't seem to care what they're doing to their own party. This is a slam dunk win. This is a slam dunk win because Democrats don't think that guy should come back. The latest proof is a Gallup poll that came out over the weekend. The Democrat congressional poll among all voters is 25% approval. That's an all-time low. The previous low was in 2023, and that was 34%. We should have seen the win coming because of the way the Democrats were polling. It is down 9 points from its all-time low, which was in 2023. But the more telling number is the Democrat congressional approval with Democrats, registered Democrats, polled, is down 41%. They've quit on their own party. Many of these people say that their party is not vocal or effective enough against Trump. Well, that's true. Trump won. Vocal and effective enough? That's all they do is attack Trump. The issue, the reason they're down 41 points is kicking, screaming, throwing fits, having demonstrations, doing photo ops, calling names, and being on the wrong side of issues is not working. The issue in polling is always, are you doing the job or aren't you? The Democrats are not doing the job. That's what's reflected in the polling. The reason they're not doing the job is screaming about Donald Trump all day isn't going to do it. You're making him stronger. His polling is good. He just finished the first quarter of his presidency much higher than the first quarter of his first presidency. He's popular. His policies are popular. You can't try to tell the American public that men should play women's sports. You can't tell the American public that an MS-13 gangbanger from El Salvador in an El Salvadoran prison should come back to America where he is not a citizen and has been issued deportation orders by our government and courts. These are wrong issues. They're losing on all of them, every single one of them. And I wonder if we're going to bring this all the way back to this young man in Kansas City that torched these Teslas. I wonder if some lawyer representing one of these people, their defense is going to be, or they will file a lawsuit against Democrat politicians or influencers or companies, certain people, who posted to go do this, because there were plenty of people to go post, fight back, go to a Tesla dealership and fight back. I wonder if that will be their defense. I'm not guilty because I was on social media and my Democrat congressperson told me to go do this, to fight, to go do whatever it takes to stop Elon Musk. He must be stopped. Or if a lawsuit comes after that against somebody. I don't know, but I've heard crazier things. And apparently in the United States of America now, it's very easy to just pick your court. And if you filed something as frivolous as that, you might be able to pick your court and go a long way and at least win the first stage until it's appealed. It is nutty times. We have them burning cars, breaking stuff, not wanting privately owned open prisons to house illegal aliens. They want Kilmore to come back into the country where he will surely get deported again, even if he comes back. They're just on the wrong side, right and left. The left is on the wrong side. 913-408-7957. We'll take your calls coming up next. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. So I mentioned we're on live stream every day. You can follow my feed on X or KCMO Talk Radio. It's KK Has Issues or KCMO Talk Radio or our Facebook page, and it streams live. There's video in the studio. My buddy told me this weekend that his wife likes to get on before the show and see how silly I look before I start. I guess I play with my hair a little bit or something, make sure the shirt's straight or something happens. I don't know. I don't know how many people are watching, but I'm going to try every now and then to show you a visual. So over the weekend, yesterday, his second tweet of the day, not the first one that got all the headlines, Donald Trump may have had his greatest post ever. This is profound. And he posted, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but rather by those who watch them without doing anything to stop them." I love that. That was one of Trump's best posts, and it didn't get any attention yesterday. I thought I would show you what's outside our studio here at KCMO, if you can see it. I'm holding it up right now on the live stream. You can see it right there. This is a beauty. It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Kamala Harris. Unbelievable. Good stuff. That's just outside our studio, and I hadn't really even noticed it, I don't think, until today. Let's go to the phones, and we start with Steve today, talking Tesla people. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Kev, my comment about the Tesla issue is to quote the principal in Ferris Bueller, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Yeah.
And our local Tesla person is going to be the example made of, so nothing else bad happens. I mean, to be honest, this last 100 days has felt like one of those Christmases where, remember as a kid, where you have that big gift right in front, and you get the big gift, which was repealing Roe versus Wade, and there keeps being little things like Christmas morning. Oh, there's something back in the tree. Oh, there's something else good. It's a kind of a weird feeling to be getting everything that you ever wanted for the last 30 years. I mean, I have a little bit of quibbles with the tariffs. I mean, we could have done it a little bit slower, but we're following up on what we should be doing. The amazing thing is the polls are not moving. That's right. That's the most underreported story in the world, is that nothing is changing. The market is fluctuating. The protests are going on. They have to change the protest to the plaza, to the VA, because no one believes what these guys are saying anymore. I mean, they are just locked.
Yeah.
They are just locked in on this agenda, the America First agenda.
Well,
and I don't think anything's gonna change.
Well, the positive side of it's great. You're right. The positive side is great. The negative side is they just they're actually pretty effective at slowing Trump down. And you said the tariffs could have rolled out differently and been better. You can also take a Band-Aid off slowly, but that's not any good. And I think we're going to look back and say he did it the right way. We're not going to drag this out over a year and a half. I think this is all going to be wrapped up in 3 or 4 months. I don't see this lasting longer than Labor Day. Do you?
I doubt it. The Supreme Court was so desperate they had to issue this illegal order within 6 hours, and Alito just nuked him on the dissent, and it'll probably be tossed out. I was going to ask you about the Missouri thing too.
I got other callers. Real quick, I got other callers,
okay.
buddy.
I'll make it short. My statement is that I get the feeling that the Missouri politicians have no interest in what's going on in Kansas City. I think the Blues and the Cardinals, they're fine with the Blues.
Okay,
the Cardinals,
I'm going to stop you right there. I think we got your point. We've heard that before. Jeff City's more interested in St. Louis than Kansas City. He's made his point. Excellent work. Wes is with us on Uncanceled. Good morning, Wes. How are you?
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity here to really make a dent into these groups that go online and get these people to do these things, okay?
Yeah.
I always remember, how come Antifa has never been busted for a RICO case, okay? So what you've got to do is these people that have that they've caught doing these things, get them to turn state's evidence and say, okay, where online were you told to do this? And build it and get those people to turn on the people that talked them into it, just like you were talking about.
Well, and there's a money trail, too. A lot of them are paid, and they'll be doing that. And I think Elon Musk has posted on X an awful lot about that, wanting to go after those people. I think they're doing that. But ultimately what we want is we want the bad behavior to stop. We watched Minneapolis burn during the George Floyd riots. You mentioned Antifa. We saw what happened in Portland and Seattle and places like that. We've watched all hell break loose for a long time, and now they went after Teslas. Well, guess what? Guess what's not going to happen again in our lifetime? Republicans are not going to bust into the Capitol again. Okay? They deterred that. Right. The punishment that they gave those people was so extreme, nobody's going to do that again. It's not going to happen. Okay? The punishment here, if you get 20 years for torching a Tesla, guess what's not going to happen? These people aren't going to accept money to go do stuff like this. They're not. For the most part, these are not people that are like killers and violent bank robbers or rapists or things like that. These are just political nuts that want some sort of vengeance, some sort of pelt because Trump won. And if they can torch a Tesla, they'll do it. Well, you start getting 20 years for that stuff, and political violence is going to end.
Well, let's give 20 years to the people who are organizing this stuff online that are getting those people to do it. That'll stop.
Great call, buddy. 100% with you. That's our man, Wes. He is dead on, and I think they're working toward that. That's a much bigger play. That may take a year, may take a couple of years. It's not going to be everybody. It's a wide net they'll have to cast on something like that, but clearly big money funding all of these demonstrations wherever we see them. Uncanceled's on KCMO Talk Radio. We're back after this. All right, Marcus found our friend Kamala Harris, the famous quote that sits outside the studio here at KCMO Talk Radio, which, how did I not notice that until today? How long has that been there, Mark?
It's been there quite a while, probably over a year.
Yeah, well, I haven't been here over a year. So
that's true.
It's been a few months, but you would think I would have seen it. I just spotted it today. Let's hear this brilliance from Kamala. We were just lamenting, what in the world if she had won? Crazy. Listen to this brilliance.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
And the interviewer, the look on his face was like, what? What was that? That was crazy. Really good stuff. Thanks to our listener who provided that for us, and know it's going to good use. It's sitting out there every day. Pretty cool. The latest attack on Trump is locally here from some writers at the Kansas City Star and other places. They're now saying that Missouri is having trouble getting a new ballpark for the Royals or getting a deal done with the Chiefs. And Jackson County in particular is having a rough time for a couple of reasons. The main reason is the economy's so bad. Trump's in charge now and everything's awful. And I haven't seen that data. I've seen the stock market That doesn't affect a whole lot of people that voted no on a stadium tax in Jackson County a year ago. It just doesn't. We know it only affects, really, truly affects about 10% of the population is really concerned about the stock market and things like that. Not that it's not a thing. And Trump certainly is sensitive to it. It is a thing. The stock market tanking is no good. Nobody wants that. But the economy and what's going on, not. So they write in this piece that the voters were stupid a year ago for not voting yes because Biden's economy was great. Like the tone of the piece is Joe Biden was president a year ago. That was the time to vote yes and get on board for these stadiums. Not now. And boy, it doesn't look good now. Trump's president. How could we ever do anything now? It's all over. We can't possibly get anything done. And it's just amazing how they can literally find any single thing going on in the world or locally or whatever and blame Trump. It's just a complete blame game. I don't hear a lot of people bad-mouthing the economy. I think most people now know prices have stopped going up. They see the gas price. They've seen some different things that were not in really bad shape there. Doesn't mean you have it great. It doesn't mean that your income has recovered from the massive explosion with inflation over the last 4 years. It may not have caught up with it. You may still feel it every day. I'm not saying people don't feel it. What people are seeing is it's slowing or in many cases stopping. And so writing a piece that the Royals and Chiefs aren't going to make it in Jackson County because of Trump just doesn't make any sense. They just grasp at straws on these things. You heard the Speaker of the House on with Pete Mundo earlier today saying that he thought Clay County was an attractive location for the Royals. This was John Patterson speaking. He's from Lee Summit. Lee Summit or Blue Springs? I should know that. Lee Summit. Thank you, John. John with the assist. Excellent. Lee Summit. And he's the Speaker of the House. And he said Clay County's attractive for the Royals, and it would be great if the Chiefs stayed where they are and let Jackson County focus on that. Jackson County's a long way from getting anything done. I think we learned that last week. We watched it play out in real time with a series of interviews and reports, and then we finished the week with Frank White, vetoing the tax thing. It's a mess. Jackson County's a mess. I think the question remains, are the Chiefs just tired of dealing with Jackson County? And ultimately, would they rather stay in their stadium and renovate it or build a new one in Kansas? Those really don't seem like those should be hard decisions for me for the Chiefs. Clark Hunt gets to decide. It should be one over the other. He should know. He really should know by now. And they've both indicated they're going to let us know what they're doing by summer. So if and when that happens in the summer, right now it looks like Clay County for the Royals, although we don't have concrete plans, but that's what everything's pointing toward. And a sports authority being built there, being put together for the Royals to work with them. And then the Chiefs just have to say whether they're about renovating Arrowhead or moving to Kansas. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of stuff in play other than that. So maybe it's clearing up, maybe it's not. But this running around playing a blame game with Donald Trump on the Royals and Chiefs, I'll bet Donald Trump doesn't even know that the Royals and Chiefs are looking for new ballparks. Or maybe he just assumes that every owner of every team everywhere is. Because that's constantly what they do, is they try to get money from taxpayers in whatever possible way they can and, get a facility that makes them more money. And that's ultimately where we are. So we appreciate those comments. We don't appreciate all the reporting. It's going to just turn into white noise, and Star's going to lose more readers that they haven't already lost. I can't imagine. You see the polling. It's a low number of people in America that just want to bitch about Trump every day. It is. And there's a whole bunch that wanted to, and they've done it for years, and they're tired of it. They're like, yeah, I'm exhausted by this. I can't just sit here and complain about Trump all day and blame him for everything. There comes a point in time where you're so mad at Joe Biden that the border's open and people are flooding in and crime is up and girls jogging on campus are getting raped and murdered, and you see all this stuff that you just want to hit something. Okay? But you can't sit there and blame your life on someone else. At some point, you got to suck it up and say, I'm taking care of my business. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure my family is safe and secure because I can't count on these people to do it for me. And sitting around blaming somebody seems like a really bad idea to me. Boy, they just keep doing it in every way that they can. Pope Francis died at age 88. Trump has posted rest in peace and God bless him and all who loved him. This was a controversial pope for many Catholics. I'm Catholic. Went to Mass yesterday with my mom. We did not talk about the Pope. I've talked with her briefly about the Pope in the past. She is I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think she's a little unsure about some of his policies, kind of going against the tradition of the Catholic Church. So we will just say that for a pope, Francis was liberal and liked open borders politically, which really doesn't seem like the jurisdiction of the pope, but it was his. It felt like it was his. He was welcoming the LGBT and trans community. He was the first Jesuit pope, which I think you're basically sworn to a life of poverty is probably the wrong word, but a simplicity. You don't live. You sleep in a small bed in a tiny little room. There's nothing extravagant about your lifestyle. That's what you're basically sworn to for life. But there were also critics of this pope, including a cardinal who Pope Francis removed, kicked out of the church, because he was constantly criticizing this pope for a lot of his policies. There was a report by a journalist who said he got an interview at one point with Pope Francis, who told him that he didn't believe in hell, that he thought good souls went to heaven, but bad souls just went away. Well, that's more than controversial in the Catholic Church, let me tell you, okay? And so this cardinal or archbishop had just been all over him for years, was out of the church. He has penned the most scathing piece you've ever seen right now. Like the day Pope Francis died, this piece was ready to go, this guy wrote, on all these things that Pope Francis did not believe in the Catholic Church. Now, I'm not a theologian. I'm not going to sit here and tell Catholics how to practice or what to think. I'm not. And I'm very, very personal and private about my faith. It's not my place to tell you who and what I am or what I think you should do or anything like that. I'm not. But the open borders policy did bother me. That's not a religious issue. This is a man who lived in Vatican City that had a wall around it, who rode around in a car with a bulletproof shield around it. And he doesn't like Trump because he doesn't want our border closed. I can't make those be equal. I cannot reconcile those two issues. This pope had no business telling the United States it could not close its border. We have laws. We're a country. We are not a religion. We have millions and millions of practicing Catholics here, and we want to keep them safe. And is our border being closed keeping Catholics out of America? Probably disproportionately, yes. Disproportionately, yes. It's preventing Catholics from migrating into the United States. And ultimately, that's probably what he was about, because that would be more Catholics with more money, and don't even get me started on that. He basically became pope on two big issues. One, to get rid of the sex scandals, and two, to make it fiscally more responsible. The Catholic Church had some bookkeeping problems globally. And he didn't do great really on either one of those. But he did have a big heart, and he wanted to bring people into a big tent of the Catholic Church. And I think there's room for that. I know Catholics that think priests should be able to get married and raise families in the church and have more children. I hear all kinds of people talk about that. Inclusive is not a bad thing. Opening something up to people is not a bad thing. We were at Mass yesterday, and the priest said before communion, he says, we recognize it's Easter, and a lot of you are here, that you're not practicing Catholics. Okay? We're glad you're here. We cannot let you take communion, but if you come up in the communion line, just cross your arms in an X, and we will bless you. That seemed nice enough, but it also begs the question, are you going to hell if you eat the wafer? I mean, really, if somebody hasn't gone through all of the paperwork, every, I don't know, this pope was being so inclusive and so different about so many of the rules of the church, and yet here we were in Olathe at a Catholic church saying, don't be trying to pull one over on us if you're not Catholic. You're not getting this wafer or this wine today. Cross your arms and we'll bless you. And that's what you're getting here. There's just contradictions in a lot of places. I'm getting in all kinds of trouble with a lot of Catholics right now. I know I am. But this was a pope that was like that. He was controversial to, I'm sure, a ton of our listeners and a ton of Catholics out there. I don't think the pope should be a political figure. He doesn't run a country. He's the leader of a religion. And I've got complete and utter respect and faith in the Catholic Church, and I believe in the good of the Catholic Church. I believe in all that. I do not believe the Catholic Church has any right to even have an opinion on whether or not the United States of America should have open borders. That is not your area. Hey, if you were an American citizen, you're standing on a street corner, you got the right to free speech. You can say whatever you want. But you're not an American citizen, and you're the leader of a church in Rome, and I don't care what you think about our borders, to be honest. I think our borders should be closed, and we should live with safety and security for the Catholics to live here. But moreover, for every American citizen, which takes precedent over anyone's faith as it comes to our borders. Your faith is to be respected, whether you have one or not, whether you believe in a God or don't. You're an American citizen, and you have those inalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness falls in our government's hands of responsibility for keeping us safe, and not just opening the border to anybody that wants to walk in completely unchecked. That was my issue with this Pope. It was not necessarily on religious grounds. It was, there's an American in me. This will make other Catholics upset, I'm sure. But there's an American in me that on many of these issues, me being American takes a lot of precedent over my religion. There are just things that you don't want to talk to me about. I don't care from your religion what you think about this. I'm sorry, I separate the two. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe I'm upsetting you. I'm sorry if I disappoint you, but today seems to be the day to have that conversation. 135 cardinals will be convening at the Vatican in the next couple of weeks, and apparently they don't know each other at all. And Pope Francis wanted it this way. He wants the selection of the next pope to be a group of mostly strangers. Now, you may know 7 or 8 of the cardinals, but it's not some clique, some inside group that's going to be taking this thing over and either following in his footsteps or whatever. It's got to be like an open convention. These cardinals are coming from all over the world, and they really don't know each other very well. And they're going to go into privacy and find out a new pope here coming in the next few weeks. It'll be very interesting to see what the Catholic Church decides, to see if they go back to what they've pretty much been, or if this church is going for a more liberal future. This will be, the upcoming pope will be Pope number 267. That's a lot of popes. All right, if you'd like to join us on the show, we'll take your calls, 913-408-7957. I'm Kevin Keatsman. This is Uncanceled. We come back next. We're going to check in with Mark. It's draft week, and Michelle Obama's been spotted in Hollywood. Oh, she's got a fancy purse, and she's wearing something else that's surprising. That's next on KCMO. All right, we got a couple fun stories here at the end. Our girl, Michelle Obama, was spotted in Hollywood with a $4,000 purse. $4,000 for a purse. I mean, it's just unbelievable, some of the things that you see. It's crazy. $4,000 purse. And she was wearing what? Mark got this question absolutely right.
The wedding ring.
The wedding ring. A surprise to all. She had done some podcast interviews saying that she sort of described that her and Barack had like an open relationship now. Would you say that's what the comments sort of led people to believe?
No, she tried to make it seem like everything was fine with their marriage. That's kind of what it seemed like to be.
Yeah, but she said she now does what she wants to do and should have decided that a long time ago. And that we're talking about her social life.
Oh, I thought she was talking about like her podcast and doing like extra.
Her social life. Like, oh, it's pretty. It's mine. I do what I want to do.
Okay.
I was like, wow. Okay. So they're maybe following in the Clintons' footsteps, something like that. How about this one? Fort McCoy is a fort in Wisconsin. The commanding colonel there is a woman named Sheila Baez. And to this point, she has refused. You know, if you go to any military base, up on the wall, they show all the generals, commanders, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. They have all these photos up. The president, the vice president, the secretary of defense. 3 spots right up on top. She refused to put them up. This is a commanding colonel in Wisconsin at Fort McCoy. She has been an activist and a wildly open leftist speaker on behalf of what she wants to have happen in America. And she has been suspended finally. It took this long. Why would it take this long? If it's the Department of Defense has an absolute policy and a regulation. The president, the vice president, and the secretary of defense will have their photos displayed at the base where all the photos are displayed. And she refused to do it, and now she's finally suspended. That should have been like a 1-week warning. You got a week to get them up.
Yeah, well-deserved suspension, though.
So what happens here? Isn't that That's definitely insubordination. Is it something worse? You can't be a commander of others and disregard orders and regulations, can you? Just because you can't handle the truth? There needs to be...
The only thing I can think of is it's photos, but I don't know. It is disobedient.
The frames were up there with no picture in them.
Yeah,
it was making a statement. It was completely disrespectful. It was like, no, this is me objecting. No, it's not happening. Let's do to me what you will. I mean, that's not just some staff sergeant that signed up and some enlisted dude. That's crazy. The commanding colonel, Sheila Baez, is suspended. We'll say she's got to be done. That's got to be the end of her military career.
I would think.
I just wonder if there's like something really she broke, that there's a real punishment coming. Hey, the Royals won. Boy, did they need a win, Mark. Would you have thought their season was over if they lost yesterday?
Yeah, probably so.
Me too.
That was a rough stretch. It still is a rough stretch. They got the one win. Now they have to go on a little winning streak with Colorado coming to town, a team they should be able to beat at least 2 out of 3, hopefully maybe even a sweep.
Yeah, they're off today. Colorado's the worst team in baseball coming in, so that's good. The Royals lost 6 in a row, and it wasn't easy yesterday. They were down 3-2 in the 8th when a guy that you don't even know named Canna got a base hit, tied the game. The Royals got a run in the 10th, and then Charlie Sheen worked his way out of trouble in the bottom of the 10th, and the Royals were able to win 4-3. The difference was if they lost, they'd have been 8-15, 6.5 out. Now they're 9-14, 4.5 out. You could be 4.5 out with 3 weeks to go and still be okay.
Yeah, and if they can sweep the Rockies, they're going to be right back in it.
You would think they'd be back alive. Boy, that was a low point. They do not hit. The Royals are 7-1 in games this year where they score 4 runs or more. 2-13 when they don't score 4 runs or more. Ridiculous. Draft week is here. The movie was on. Have you seen the movie Draft Day?
I need to see it. I don't know why I haven't watched it.
It's cheesy as all get out. But it's okay. You can't really take your eye off it because you're a sports fan, whatever. Draft Day's Thursday night. I don't try to predict what the Chiefs are doing. I think they like defensive line, and I think they have to get a running back somewhere. Have I covered it all with that?
Yeah, I think they're still going to look for some offensive line depth.
Okay.
Just to help build up the line a little bit more. But I do think they go defensive line first round, running back second round, or early third. They have that early third round pick as well. So one of those two.
They're deceiving. They don't want anybody to know what they do. They're very good at this. The Chiefs are very good at this. And last week, the Masters, we talked a little bit about the Masters. Many of you may know a golfer named John Daly. He's a drinker, smoker, big, heavy dude. He won some major championships, played the Masters 12 times. Every year he goes to Hooters and signs autographs. At Augusta, it's just about a half mile down from the entrance, right there on a busy street. The lines were out the door for 2 days. He made $1 million. $250 boxes of cigars, $40 for hats. He cashed it in. Way to go. The Vince Show is next on KCMO Talk Radio.